In 1947, I just want to kind of lay a foundation about our America. The Cave of Qumran, you know that. That's where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And that's where the Book of Enoch. This is where the Book of the Giants was found. Now, the Book of the Giants, which is this book, I highly suggest y'all get this, because the stuff that's in here is insane. Okay, the Book of the Giants. This used to be alongside the Book of Enoch, but they separated them. So it used to be with the Book of Enoch. And I don't know why they separated them. I didn't find out why they separated them. But it was found in the Cave of Qumran in 1947, and I'm going, 1947? Didn't Roswell happen in 1947? What is the coincidence of Roswell and them finding all these books about these extraterrestrials? Because that's what it literally says, they're extraterrestrials in this book. Roswell happened in 1947, and they just so happened to find all these lost books of information that they tried to hide from us in 1947. What a weird coincidence. The CIA was created that same year. The CIA was created. The Department of Defense was created. The Joint Chiefs of Staff was created. The National Security Council was created. All of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And now you know, they knew something, you know, they know. Everybody knows in the government, the higher-ups know that these entities are real. They were trying to hide it. They lied to us. So it starts off, and now in Numbers, in the book of Numbers in the Bible, it says in chapter 13, verse 33, we saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. So that's after the flood. So they're basically saying, yeah, they were still here. They were supposed to be destroyed in the flood, but somehow they came back. That's interesting, okay? So these passages suggest that the concept of giants was present in Jewish society, and the ideas expressed in the Book of Giants was somewhat accepted. Everybody knew it wasn't a big deal back then. Everybody knew that was a normal thing. But until the further we get along into our generation, they're trying to hide it. They don't want us to know. And the Book of Giants, they didn't just find one copy or two copies. The Book of the Giants is the most copies of any book they've ever found. That's the main book that they found so many copies of. They're just like, what's going on? Why are we finding so many copies of this book? They found an Aramaic copy, and then they found this one called the Manichaean copy, which is a prophet that also dug into the information and even took it even a little bit further. And this has all been predated way before the books of the Bible. Even though they were found in the book with the books of the Bible, they were carbon dated and they matched up with the books of the Bible. You got to listen. The Book of the Giants begins with Elohim witnessing the depravity on earth and commanding 220 angels referred to as the Watchers to descend and guide humanity. Like I said, they're guardians, okay? Led by Azazel and Shemyaza, these angels form a council of 20 and begin teaching humanity. However, after being seduced by women from the Canaanite tribe, descendants of the first murderer, Cain, the angels take on physical form. Each of the 200 angels marries a woman and starts a family. Their children, known as the Nephilim, are enormous beings with a voracious appetite. As these Nephilim settle in cities, they turn against those who try to feed them, eventually resorting to cannibalism. They start fights among themselves and drag the rest of humanity into their conflicts. Shortly after these extraterrestrial beings, this is in the book, the Watchers eventually realize they are confined. Okay, wait a minute. Shortly after these extraterrestrial beings arrive on Earth, so they came from somewhere else, and there's so many, think of all the cultures that talk about some beings coming from the stars and coming down and teaching us stuff, okay? After these extraterrestrial beings arrive on Earth, an ecological catastrophe seems to ensue. The Watchers eventually realize they are confined to their physical forms and can no longer exist as spirits. After pleading for forgiveness, Elohim condemns them through his messenger Enoch. Elohim had previously instructed that women were not to have husbands among the angels, and those who disobeyed would face judgment. Although the giants were born of wickedness and lacked free will, Elohim shows that their offspring can still be saved despite their pleas for forgiveness. This blew me away because I'm going, wait a minute. He's basically saying, okay, you guys did this act. You're getting condemned. You are not getting forgiveness, but the offspring, they can't help it. It's not their fault that this happened. They're going to get a chance to be saved. Which makes me believe, like I said before, and I've been teaching that the Rh negative people that they can't find the DNA from, they don't know where this DNA and all this from, that DNA has passed down through, like I said before, it doesn't matter. That's why I'm telling you, when I've watched all these documentaries that they're swearing up and down that they truly believe that's where the DNA has come from. They came from the Nephilim. Okay? All the Rh negative people are on here. They truly believe that that's what it's coming from. Okay? Because they've done everything under their power and done all this DNA testing on all the different nationalities and cultures, and they can't trace it to any certain area. They don't match up. And that goes along, that's what I'm talking about with the 2.5% of the population of the earth, which is 8 billion something people. 2.5% of that 8 billion of people have DNA. They're just like, who are these people? And a lot of them have the Rh negative, and they have the mutations in the recessive genes and stuff that they can't really define where they come from. Okay, and that can be anybody it could be anybody, but we know definitely it's the Rh negative people. That's what they're saying. Okay, they definitely saying it's the Rh. They know it's the Rh negative people, but also people who aren't Rh negative can also have this DNA. They found that they also have the same DNA that they can't seem to find where they're coming from. So he's saying they have, they can have forgiveness. Elohim becomes concerned that the pure genetic makeup of humanity may soon be destroyed and corrupted by this tainted DNA. This is in the book. According to Enoch's prophecy, the earth will continue to destroy itself, and the Nephilim will ultimately be consigned to hell. Furthermore, it becomes evident that the Watchers also used animals to father offspring, further corrupting pure DNA and resulting in the creation of animal-angel hybrids. Cryptids, Bigfoot, all these animals, the Mothman, all these things that people are seeing that they don't know where the heck they come from. All over the world, people have seen these weird creatures and stuff. Everybody thinks they're crazy. I've seen it. I've seen these things, and I'm not crazy. And my eyes are 20/20. So you can't say that all these millions of people are insane and they're seeing things.
Ancient Egypt, Greek mythology, UFOs, biblical and modern day giants, and even mermaids all go back to the fallen angels, and you and I have been lied to about it all. Now for this video, we're going to go back to where this all started, Genesis 6:4, when the fallen angels mated with the women on earth. And we're going to explain this because there is a lot of confusion about how angels reproduced. Genesis 6:4, there were giants on the earth in those days and also afterward when the sons of God, angels, came into the daughters of men, humans, and they bore children to them. They were the mighty men who are of old, men of renown. New International Version is more literal. It says the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. We get the word giant from the root word nephal, which is the singular of Nephilim. Nephilim is the plural of nephal. It means to fall. So Nephilim means the fallen ones. Jude 6 explains this further. He says, and the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Now, angels have free will, just like you and I do. So there were angels that left their proper domain. They left the power of God. They left heaven, followed Satan. Out of that group of angels that were following Satan, there were angels that were watching the women on earth. They decided they had to have them. So those angels, out of the whole group, those angels left the spiritual realm, came down, took a physical form in our 3D dimension. They left their dimension, came into ours in physical form, and mated with the women on earth. Book of Enoch explains this even further. You being spiritual, holy, and possessing a life which is eternal, obviously talking about the sons of God, the angels, have polluted yourselves with women, have begotten in carnal blood, have lusted in the blood of men, and have done as those who are flesh and blood do. Now the top is a little cut off. This is talking about the giants. So this is the fallen angels' offspring. Now the giants who have been born of spirit and of flesh shall be called upon earth evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. Now, evil spirits shall proceed from their flesh because they were created from above. From the holy watchers was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil spirits shall they be upon earth, and the spirits of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the spirits of heaven shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial spirits who are born on earth. Now, how does that relate to these guys, or even mermaids? For this, we go to the book of Enoch, and we will get into UFOs here in a second. First, we have to establish what exactly was going on before the flood. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives. This was not a mutual thing. Adam and Eve were perfect. They were the epitome of beauty. So their offspring were all beautiful human beings. So the women on earth at that time were absolutely gorgeous. So the fallen angels saw them, had to have them. They departed from their spiritual realm, came into the 3D realm, took physical form, and essentially graped the women. And the women gave birth to giants. Number 2, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. This even plays into the giants we see today. This was in 2002. This is the Kandahar giant. I will do a video on this soon. They are still walking the earth today, and they are cannibalistic. Down here, number 5, and they began to sin against birds, beasts, reptiles, and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Because angels were not meant to reproduce. When they utilized their free will, followed the epitome of evil, Satan, things happened that were not supposed to happen. It corrupted mankind. It corrupted the lineage of creation. This is why we see things like this or this. I mean, there was evil beyond evil. There was deplorable things walking the earth, and Noah and his sons were the only genetically pure beings left on the earth. The entire earth was filled with this. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Stay with me. So back in Jude, we see the consequence to what happened to the angels, because our God is a just God. So the angels that decided to mate with the women, they were cast into chains. They were cast into hell. Now, Jews in Jesus' time commonly referred to demons as Tamu Nephal, which means dead Nephal or dead Nephilim. Demons are the disembodied spirits of the dead Nephilim. When God flooded the entire earth, it wiped out all of the flesh. The spirits remained. God tells us that demonic spirits need a host. They are like parasites. They need a house to inhabit. They need a body to possess. Now, we know after the flood, it did not take long at all before evil was on the rise again. Why? Because the spirits of the Nephilim still remained on earth. How this all played out after the flood, how giants walked the earth again, there is no clear answer to. It is a possibility that Noah's daughters-in-law did not have a pure bloodline, so their offspring paired up with the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim gave rise to the giants. It gave rise to all of that evil again. We do know for certain is there were giants on those earth in those days and also afterwards. So God is very clear that it started right up again. Now this brings us to the UFOs, because as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the Son of Man. Aliens are the fallen angels, and they are here attempting to do the exact same thing they did before the flood. The earliest well-known UFO abduction was in 1957, and if you and I know anything, that means that it had been going on well before that. This is what they want us to know. Boas underwent what he described as medical examinations. He claimed to have had physical samples taken, hair, blood, and skin scrapings. Interaction, here it is. He also reported an interaction with a female alien, which resulted in what he believed was an attempt at reproduction. What's interesting is every single UFO abduction account, there is always some kind of sexual interaction, because the fallen angels are attempting to reproduce with man. And this is why we have giants walking the earth and have always had giants walking the earth. Satan has always been trying to corrupt mankind, because you and I are made in the image of God, and he literally hates us for it. All of this leads to this, the rapture of the church. It is going to be in the near future, any single second now. It could be this evening, it could be next year, it could be 5 years from now. I don't know, but it is soon. And it is going to be in a single second, when millions of believers in Jesus Christ will be removed from this earth and we are taken home to heaven. However, the government will come in, the world will come in and try to explain this event, because they can't come in and tell you that God took us home to heaven and, well, you're left on your own. So what are they going to do? They're going to say that we were abducted by aliens, and those left behind are the chosen ones. A perfect way to unite the world. What a perfect way to usher in world peace. What a perfect way to usher in a one world system, one world government, one world religion. They already have the statement ready, because they have been preparing for this for years. Just like true believers know that we are in the season, Satan knows we are in the season. And that's why we are seeing such an influx of UFOs and alien discussion, because he has his little minions, his fallen angels ready, and they are circulating. So once the church is removed, we go up, they come down.
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there. We better think of how all the differences among people on earth would seem small if we felt threatened by a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
You're right.
Everybody gets together and makes nice.
Allegedly, the CIA is saying a whole bunch of extraterrestrials are walking around with us, looking just like us in human skin.
CIA currently estimates that on planet Earth, there are now 30 million ET human hybrids on our planet.
And for anybody that thinks they're still projections, they're literally biological beings created by the fallen angels and mankind to hold the spirits of demons.
Nothing in the sky at all. Then all of a sudden, bam, what is that?
Com o zoom aqui dá pra ver ele se mexendo melhor.
O zoom dele é melhor que o meu.
E outra coisa, se você for fazer uma comparação, ele é mais ou menos do tamanho daquela árvore lá. Entendeu? Ele é grande.
E outra coisa, até o que tem que se movimentar não tá normal. Não, pode ser um ser humano gigante, mas ele tá com um comportamento diferente.
Ali é um Anunnaki, velho.
Você consegue captar as vibrações, vem até nós.
Só não vem à noite.
Mano, e pior que mexe esquisito demais.
Ele parece, sabe aquele braço índio?
Essas vozes é grande.
Aquele movimento índio, um arco e flecha. É o movimento dele. Mas é interessante. Olha, ele tá no meio do morro. Olha ele ali, olha ele no meio do morro.
Ele vai ser camufladão,
A gente tá um quilômetro e meio daqui, né? Olha só, ele tá descendo agora. Ele tá descendo.
Gente, é muito próximo.
Cara, menos de um minuto. Olha só.
Não, gente, vamos lá, mãe. Vamos.
Não, olha lá. Que bom que se fosse macaco. Tá conseguindo ver ele ainda?
Aham.
Em direção a essa pedra.
Tá no zoom máximo aqui.
Continua descendo. Continua descendo. Cara, faz 2 minutos que ele desceu do topo.
Ele desceu muito rápido.
Olha as passadas dele, o tamanho.
Ele tem trilha?
Não. Putz,
Não,
é
sumiu.
gigante. Eu tô vendo aí, eu tô vendo. É um gigante
Como ele
mesmo.
falou, ela no mar. Ele foi descendo.
É um gigante mesmo. Não, ele vai pra algum lugar, velho.
Gente, olha o tamanho do cara lá.
Olha a cima da pedra. Olha.
Giants spotted in some place here. 4 giants, not 1, 4. Ooh. Let's see them together. Giants. This is crazy. Okay. Oh. Are you seeing any giant here, my friends? Where are they? I can't see the giants. My God, can you see the giants? Oh, they are so big. They are outside the picture. Where are they? Oh my God. Hi. Where are the giants? You guys, can you see the giants? It's already there are 4. Oh yeah, here they come up. Yo, these ones are crazy. My friends, this is crazy. Looks like just a group of them decided to hang out. Take a look at how Africa or the world has been doing. This is crazy. Where do they live? What do they feed on? Wow. It's hard to think about that. Yo, if you are just walking and you came home, told people you saw giants, they could think you've gone mad. But look at this. You have seen it here, my friends, and it's unbelievable, unexplainable. You don't even know if it's real. But you be the judge. All this is for entertainment purposes. Weird stuff. What? This is crazy. What are these things?
Themselves concerns me that these alien creatures are now about to reveal themselves. And if you notice, in many parts of Africa, ancient kings used to wear a wooden helmet with golden horn. It was true in West Africa, and it was true also in Southern Africa in the great Munumutapa Empire.
The horns representing the Chitahulas?
Yes, the power of the Chita. Horns are a symbol of status, and through its horns, a Chitauli is able to communicate with human beings far across the face of the earth.
So the horns were like antennae then?
Yes, they were instruments of projecting power. In fact, it is said by storyteller that King Samahongo punishes those Chitauli who show mercy to human beings by pointing at them so that both their horn fall off their head. And the Chitauri is therefore unable to direct human affairs through his or her horn.
It's also interesting that the descriptions of the Chitahuli, the horns and sometimes the tail and stuff, is very, very close to how Christians and those sort of stories have depicted the devil.
Yes, but what amazes me is that now, more than ever before, the devil is represented as a Chitauri. What concerns me is that these alien creatures are now about to reveal themselves. And they are making us aware of how they look like. Today, we are having feelings that depict the grey aliens exactly as they really are, and the Chitauli exactly as they really are. My question is why? Are we being prepared for a major event